Hi, this is Robert Goldberg, First Amendment TV. I'm here with Joey Rullo on political corruption, and we're talking about the upcoming, MSNBC and CNN are blowing it, I think, way out of proportion, and it's like the world is coming to an end on Bridgegate, that there's some information coming out, and I think they're just blowing it out of proportion. What do you think's happening, Joe?
Again, my name's Joey Rullo with First Amendment TV. I cover political corruption. Robert Goldberg, how you doing today? What we're basically up to from the last show is there's been 20 subpoenas, and out of the accused, which there's evidence to show that the bridge was closed down due to one Port Authority administrator appointee who goes back to, high school with Christie. That gentleman was fired by Christie. What he's trying to do, and he's been trying to do, is he's trying to get immunity, as well as he has a conflict right now where he's trying to get payment from Port Authority, like Sampson has, who is also the head of the Port Authority. But because Sampson, who is the head of Port Authority, is still working at Port Authority, he's going to get legal representation. So what Wildstein is doing here is he's come up with some evidence, and he's stating through his lawyer that he can disprove that Christie is accurate on his 2-hour speech saying that he knew nothing about Bridgegate. Now, what we have to keep in mind here, and I want to be the first to say it, I've been expecting something. I'm very surprised that it's 5 o'clock on a Friday night, 6 o'clock. But I figured they would drop this right before the Super Bowl. And the governor, all the eyes are on the governor and the state of New Jersey right now. And this is very convenient to drop something that was known for probably since Weinstein for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, has been saying that he wants to have immunity. He's been saying that he wants, representation, and to have lawyers paid for. But it's very convenient that pretty much the eve of the Super Bowl that this blockbuster bomb is dropped. Now, this is a very serious issue. The governor spent 2 hours saying that he never ever knew anything about this. So there's no breathing room. Now let's go back to our first show where I said to you, Robert, I had some very big concerns that the governor made a misspoke and said that it's been 2 days since he got sleep and the incident just happened a day before. He made a misspoke, and a lot of people heard that misspoke. Another thing I've been seeing, everybody on CNN who's been representing the governor, from Steve Lonigan to even the ex-mayor of New York, every Republican makes sure that they say, but if he's lying, then he's going to be in a lot of political trouble. And you hear resigning, you hear from different Republicans that they're going to come back on the show, and the same that they're doing to stick up for him, they're going to come calling him out.
Right.
This has been brewing. Again, I want to be the first to say that Christie, up until probably Bridgegate, was without a doubt hammering forward to run for president of the United States, which is the whole entire theory of what I gave of why this Bridgegate occurred, is because it's out of control. They're running 2 campaigns at the same time, and they had to win all these Democratic votes in different demographic areas. So what we're looking at here, Robert, is that you might be right, that, there is something being forced here, but what it is just like an election. If the election was Tuesday, the Democrats or Republicans would release information a couple days before. They are releasing damaging inferences, and they're saying that they have definite information that will incriminate the governor and basically contradict what he's been saying from the very beginning, that he did in turn know about this, but they're doing it right before the Super Bowl, and there's going to be, the whole country is going to be watching this. The governor was building momentum over the last few days, he's going to Howard Stern's birthday party. He was on WFAN.
Right.
Yeah, but he's been going to, he's getting a lot of publicity for the Super Bowl, and I think that, they saw this, and I think it was a calculated move. I think that they've known this for a week. And Wildstein is at the mercy.
A calculated move on whose part?
This is obviously going to be two focuses here. You have, did the governor lie, and did he know? And then you also have a feeding frenzy that they know there's blood. They're throwing all the dirt they can at the governor to make his polls plummet. Since the last show, his polls have gone down 20%. So the bottom line is, you're going to have the ability as a investigator to release the information when you want. This information has been available, I know, probably about a week or even 2 weeks. This was released on Friday so that this goes into the Super Bowl, so that the governor, his momentum is gone. There's not going to be any type of publicity. He's going to be embarrassed by this. If this is not true, then they're in a lot of trouble. But Wildstein's lawyer is on record through a letter stating that they have facts. But again, remember, Wildstein wants immunity, and the state of New Jersey investigative is not the prosecutorial. He wants immunity from Fisher on the federal level, the Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General. Additionally, he wants his legal bills paid from Port Authority, and this is his way to do it. And I'm sure that he didn't want to throw the governor under the bus, but you're looking at millions of dollars worth of, legal fees, and also a probability he might go to jail. He's not only saying that the governor did this, he's saying it was a direct order from the administration. And to give you an example, if the governor told him to do something, let's say rob a bank, well, he still goes to jail for robbing the bank. Well, if the governor told him to stop interstate commerce, he committed a federal offense. He obstructed justice at one point, and additionally, it's abuse of power. So what he's trying to do is he's going to get immunity and possibly his bills paid for his legal bills. But the timing is very political, and this is to embarrass the governor of New Jersey during the Super Bowl. There's no doubt about it.
Well, this is where I think I agree they're trying to embarrass the governor during the Super Bowl. Like you said, he's attending Howard Stern's birthday party tonight. I heard on the news just before. But I wonder how much is in play here on false information to make a story out of something from MSNBC and CNN, because they've been deliberately attacking any Republican to try and discredit and put the Republican Party on defense for the 2014 election, to try and take away any information with any of the scandals due to the Obama administration, with all the different scandals going on. So they've been ignoring that, and they've been beating the hell out of Christie, and this is all just hearsay right now. So even if it's just hearsay, how are you going to hold these networks accountable legally to what accusations they're making and nothing's coming out? Also, I think, they're trying to discredit or take away ratings from Fox News, who's going to be broadcasting the Super Bowl, which I think is not going to happen. People are not going to tune away from watching the Super Bowl to hear about a scandal that they can hear about later on anyway. They're going to watch the football game and enjoy it, and then maybe watch these networks with their scandal information. But we got to realize also MSNBC and CNN's ratings are in the tank. They're in the toilet. No one's watching their network to begin with. So they're trying to do something. Like they say, it's breaking news, and they've been saying that for the past 4 hours. It's breaking news, and they're hoping something's going to come out. And then they came out and said, we're waiting for a response from the Christie administration on this. And why does he even have to address them or anything? He can ignore them. So they're going to go on for hours or another day.
Well, Robert, you brought up an interesting point about CNN and Fox News. I don't know if you've noticed, but our ratings on our YouTube show with First Amendment TV has 2,500 hits, which is well ahead of most of the pundits and the different channels, like Fox News, for example. They have 200 or 300 hits. We are looking at, over 2,500 without even advertising it. But, this is something that, listen, I've been watching objectively on all the channels. I've been looking at the New York Times, the Star Ledger. Every single news outlet is now reporting this. This is a very serious issue. If the governor knew about this, the Star Ledger is now calling for him to resign. Now, if there's, some sort of way that I didn't know about it, but, what they're saying is that it might not be cut and clear and dry or whatever, but the way this situation is happening is that this is Wildstein, who was the Port Authority head that said, close their lanes down. Right. There's other people in the administration that are now going to probably think about coming out and getting immunity. But I think that the CNN and Fox News, I don't think that this is about that. I think what it's about is that there's some partisan stuff going on here. I agree. And at the same time, the governor's administration has shown poor leadership. This issue should never be here. And either way, the governor either lied or his administration has failed. Now, and this state is in turmoil and upside down. Now, and the bottom line is that if we don't, understand simply, this is a Friday night. The Super Bowl is in 2 days, 48 hours.
Right.
A week ago, I knew that they were going to drop something just because I understand the way politics works. It's called marketing. And everybody's paying attention. So, not to take away from the beginning of what I had said, Weinstein, lawyer, is stating that they have information that exists that is showing that Christie lied and that he knew about this. If that is the case, the governor of New Jersey is probably going to have to resign. He has people like Rudy Giuliani who came out public for him who said that, if the governor's lying about this politically, it's over. Steve Lonigan, who basically was on CNN during the inaugural, said that he would come back on CNN if the governor lied. He'd be the first one back. Everybody, including myself, who never said that I think the governor, might have done this, or I just flat out said I don't think he did it. Now, this puts people like myself, who gave him the benefit of the doubt, in a position where if the governor lied, he has to resign. That's where this is. And this is an allegation that if the paper trail is there and the evidence is there, it's not against the rules of the law for an investigative committee to want to embarrass him at Howard Stern's birthday party tonight and Sunday on the Super Bowl. They're doing this to damage the Republican Party so that their nominee, which is the presumed nominee, is done. And if this is true, Christie's done.
Now, my thing is, though, we're talking about if it's true. Now, the only way we're really going to know it's true is right now, the gentleman that says did have information that Christie did know. What was his name again?
Weinstein,
Weinstein,
who,
okay,
again, was let go without even being spoken to, as well as Bridget.
Right. Now, the only thing is, right now, it's just hearsay. The evidence they really need to convict Christie is email links and copies of emails that he knew. Otherwise, it's all hearsay.
A big thing, Robert, is that, number one, the governor is not in any kind of criminal situation here, necessarily, because he wasn't under oath.
Right.
And that's what they want to do. They want to get him under oath once this evidence comes out. I do believe that there's no possible way that the Weinstein's attorney, who could be disbarred for lying, I don't believe he would write this letter falsely. I believe the timing is very political. It's very petty to hurt New Jersey right before the Super Bowl, to injure the governor right before the Super Bowl. Why not do it last week? But the bottom line is, why would an attorney release that they have this information? Well, there is a reason. They want immunity so that the state investigators, which can't arrest him, it's the federal Attorney General Fisher, who, if he gives them immunity, he doesn't go to jail, and he wants to be supported with funding from lawyers from Port Authority because he was fired by Christie and now can't be represented to compensate because this can bankrupt Weinstein. So therefore, Weinstein has been put in a position where he is now willing to give the information that he's probably had from the very beginning. And I say, if he has that information, he should be somehow held accountable as well for lying under oath.
But like I said, if the information he has, if it's just verbal conversation and him saying the governor did tell him to do this, it's just hearsay. The best evidence they have is an email trail that can be linked and followed through from computers. Otherwise, it's like a DNA blood splatter. You're going to do a swab of the blood, see what it is and whose DNA it is. That's the DNA is the emails.
The information that is being reported that was on the email, the letter that was from the attorney, is that there's hard evidence. So at this point, we're just reporting what is, and there is evidence available.
Right, but we do agree that the next 48 hours, because of the Super Bowl, because the governor of New Jersey is going to be there, the governor of New York is going to be there, that they're going to try and make him look as bad as possible. So hopefully the fans, if they see the governor or if he's announced, that everyone will wind up booing him. But I wonder if anyone's really going to pay attention to it at the game.
Well, what I think is, look, on the other hand, if this is true, wouldn't this be the best time to have him admit it or perhaps even resign right before the Super Bowl nationally?
Yes, but I don't think the governor's the type of guy that would do that.
Again, based on the letter that came from an attorney, and the reason why I brought up that the timing is impeccable, it's right before the Super Bowl, and that he wants immunity and that he wants funding for his attorneys through Port Authority, like Sampson, who is another appointee by Christie, who still gets, as well as everyone else except for Bridget, who is his assistant in the office of New Jersey. They aren't going to get it as well. A lot of people are wondering, how could you fire these people without talking to them? This is where the problem's going to occur. He didn't talk to anybody. He just fired them. So there's no, collusion going on here. If this is off the cuff, take one for the team. It doesn't look like Weinstein's taking one for the team here. I mean, honestly, at this point, if there's evidence showing that the governor knew anything, he said he knew nothing, he needs to resign. If it's not, I'll be the first person with the lynch mob to go after the media because this is irresponsible. But at this point right now, there's a lot of evidence and not a lot of Republicans that are coming out even before this. A lot of people, for example, in Florida, when Christie went there with the Governors Association, the governor of Florida wouldn't even be seen with him in picture or in press, even though he went there to go raise money. He's taking a 20% poll hit. Again, he didn't break any laws, perhaps, because he didn't testify under oath when he did that 2-hour denial. But if there is evidence, it's the end of the game.
Well, we will be finding out definitely probably within the next 48 hours what's happening.
And we probably will have another show within the next 48 hours. Again, thank you for tuning in to First Amendment TV. My name's Joey Rullo, and with me is Robert Goldberg, and I hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Also, folks, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so as we post more things on First Amendment TV, you'll see what's going on also. Thanks very much, and see you soon.